the streaming world of what he believes to be of quality. But there is, unseen by most, an episodic horror-based TV show. A show that still holds up. A show called Tales from the Darkside.
And when I looked inside, I saw the ring.
Hey, what's up, and welcome back to Talks from the Darkside, the podcast where we talk about Tales from the Darkside, the 80s horror anthology television show created by George Romero and Richard Rubinstein. I'm Joel Escola.
I'm Sean O'Rourke.
And I'm Chris Barr.
Today we're talking about Ring Around the Redhead, written and directed by Ted Gershuny, based on an original story by John MacDonald, with an original air date of October 13th, 1985.
Hey guys, you like H.P. Lovecraft, but wish he did more romance stories?
No.
Well, here you go.
I love Lovecraft, but no, I'm 100% good on that one.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
A love noir, if you will.
Right? That's kind of what we got here. It's like take From Beyond, put in a blender with like a romance.
Yeah.
No, not even good. Oh, God.
Yeah. Could you imagine if
With
like
the thing going out of fucking John Hurt's
Yeah.
head?
his pineal gland? Yeah. Could you imagine if like Charles Dexter Ward like had like I don't know who, like somebody like come through a different portal and like they fell in love with each other or something?
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
It's like take that story and mix it with like some like trashy like shop rate.
Yeah, like if his ancestor came back and like wanted to like I don't know have a relationship with somebody, like that was the whole goal.
Like John Hurt and Mary Shelley in Frankenstein Unbound, kind of.
Well, yeah, that's possible too.
Yeah, put like Fabio on the cover.
Like some shitty romance novel.
Yeah. But there's like a portal in the background.
Yeah.
Instead, we get John Hurt. He's an inventor who's in his basement, and a fucking earthquake comes, and now a volcano appears in his basement that has a ring to a different dimension attached to it.
Well, we're gonna get to that. Can we get the official Fangoria synopsis for this, please?
So our official Fangoria synopsis from 1986 says Billy, a man facing electrocution on death row for the murder of his neighbor, recounts his story to a reporter. The fantastic tale involves a magic ring and a beautiful alien woman with whom Billy had fallen in love.
Yeah, so we bust right out of this. We get Billy Malone.
Yeah.
Played by John Hurd.
Home Alone Dad himself.
Home Alone Dad himself, Mr. McAllister himself, the photographer from Chud. He's here. Now, I was trying to figure out where this took place in his timeline.
It's got to be pre-Chud, because he's pretty damn young in this.
I think I'm going to say post-Chud, right?
Okay,
We've
okay.
already destroyed the cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers. Daniel Stern is presumably dead.
Presumably, right.
Presumably.
Maybe this is like a spin-off episode.
Yeah, well, before John Hurd actually like gets a lot of money. This is his jump off, right?
Yeah.
He was a photographer, and then he's like in some like shitty basement apartment, finds this ring, meets up with Keena, gets all this money and jewels and shit.
Oh, that's how he gets the Home Alone house.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's how he becomes.
Okay.
We're always wondering like what he does for a living in those movies because they're like filthy rich, and so is his brother.
So he steals rubies out of an alternate dimension.
Yeah, because kids play with that shit in that dimension. So
is Keena, did she change her name to Kate, or did he just drop her like a bad habit after making all the money and find Kate?
I think that's what happened. Keenan was like, you know what? You're a greedy bastard. You leave your kids at home. You forget them.
You take all my goddamn diamonds.
Yeah, exactly. And then he finds Catherine O'Hara, who is also a redhead.
Yeah, this is where his thing for redhead
so,
starts.
So it works out.
He robs her of all her riches and leaves the alternate dimension, which is an amazing thing that I don't think anybody would ever want to leave. But then he gets this massive house in Chicago. Okay, fine.
So you know what? Love is strange. You know, that's the way it works out sometimes.
He had to have Kevin, Buzz, Linny, and the rest.
Linny, Jeff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
But in this film, episode, whatever.
I mean, it was shot on film. Anyway.
Yeah, he's in like, what? It is like his basement or a garage or something, right?
It's like his apartment is like this basement.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess he lives in New York City, I think.
It's implied.
I thought it'd be like California. because he mentions like the earthquakes.
Oh, maybe,
yeah,
yeah.
no, that makes more sense actually.
So it opens with him on death row, and he's like in his electric chair, and it's like, I don't really care for this like noir bullshit angle.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I'm Billy Malone, and I'm sitting. How did I get here? You asking yourself? And it's like, nobody asked.
You're probably wondering how you're probably wondering how it ended up in this
It's
situation.
almost like they're trying to do a wraparound on the segment when it's already a 22-minute episode, and it's like, all right, I see what you're trying to do, and like I feel like it does work when you get to the end.
It's just a non-linear way of storytelling,
Yeah.
like for this particular
and it's
thing.
it's sort of weird.
It's
Nah,
sort of
yeah.
weird, and
It's
like
I get you want to establish like he's in trouble, something bad happened enough for him to be on death row. We find out, but it's like
but like you didn't need inner monologue, and like you
No.
could have did it just through him and the reporter.
yeah.
I also feel like nothing against John Hurt at all. But Heard, I know it's like that T or D is immediately two different people. But yeah, John Hurt, I feel like I wouldn't go so far as to say he's phoning it in by any stretch, but like he's very young. You can tell this is probably one of the first gigs he got because it's just kind of like he doesn't look that distressed, and like it's not like he has the knowledge of what happens at the end. He's just like, yeah, I'm on death row. Yeah, my final meal was 2 fucking bananas and an apple and some salad. Isn't this interesting? Yeah, no one will believe me.
No one is going to believe him.
I'd be sweating bullets, man. You're in the electric chair because your neighbor got killed. Not to undermine that, but like they're acting like this guy shot up like a school or something. He's like, he's getting the chair today. He killed this guy 6 days ago. It's already lock, stock, and barrel. It's cut and clean.
Yeah, he got put to the front of the line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of the zany story he probably told.
This guy's nuts. Get him in there quick. We need him out of here.
I'm surprised he didn't end up in like a padded room instead.
Yeah, right.
I mean, again, it's
and
a
then
TV
the
show.
executioner here, the guy waiting to throw the switch,
Yeah.
is gonna be Niles Talbot from Tales from the Crypt.
Oh,
So there you go. Bill
there
Sadler
it
coming
is.
in.
There it is.
But yeah, so he's in his cell, like
Yeah.
recounting the story, and the reporter like trying to establish what happened and trying to get his story told. And he's like, "You're not gonna believe me." And
He's
then-
like, you're never going to believe this.
I mean, I wouldn't. I get his hesitation.
No, sure. But like, he's like, fuck it. I'm just going to spill the beans because I'm going to like be dead anyway.
Yeah.
So he tells
In
us
6 hours.
So he tells this crazy story about like how there's been earthquakes happening, and like at one point this, for lack of a better term, like a volcano pushes out of his basement floor, and on the top of it, mounted inside, is like this metal ring.
Right.
And he like didn't know what it was at one point, and he's like performing all these tests on it. He's like putting like thermometers down there.
yeah,
And he's like,
hooks and thermometers.
Yeah, he's like, one time I put the thermometer down there and it froze. Another time it like burned up.
exploded,
Yeah.
and like, and then one time he pulled out like a ruby or a jewel by accident.
Yeah, he keeps, and he says like every time he adjusts it and does a test,
Yeah.
he moves the ring. Like it's like dialing in this.
Yeah.
It's not like Stargate.
Yeah,
A little bit,
That's,
yeah.
a,
Pocket Stargate.
that's a way better description. Yeah,
It's like he'll do like a little adjustment,
Mhm.
put something into it, freeze or melt or pull something out.
pulls
but
out Kurt Russell.
He's like finding different. Yeah, Kurt Russell is hat.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the key thing though that they say though is, or John Hurt says, is that it's not a two-way road. He doesn't know how to go through or go back even.
Well, he doesn't know how to come back from it.
Right.
If he's not like tethered, it's like the poltergeist thing where you need a rope.
Right, or it's like, you don't, once you go through the other side, almost like a black hole. Like, are you going to just get turned into mush, or are you going to be like somewhere else? Like, he doesn't know. Like, so why are you going to chance it?
Are you going to freeze to death? Are you going to fall into a
Yeah.
volcano? Like,
Yeah.
what? You don't know what's
Yeah, well,
cooking on the other
exactly.
side. But he ends up pulling out a ruby, and like the way that he explains it is like he tells his buddy Jimbo,
Jimbo, this guy.
yeah.
and Jimbo is like this sleazy like con man guy, and he's like, this is a pure uncut ruby. Holy shit!
He's like one of these guys that got like loan sharks knocking on the door looking
big
for
time,
him,
He's about to get his legs broken.
Oh, yeah.
by Tommy Vale.
Yeah,
I don't muscle no one except this guy.
Yeah, exactly. And then like he goes to like leave. He's like, all right, well, if you find anything else, let me know. And he's like, yeah, you want to give me the ruby you put in your pocket? And he's like, yeah, sorry about that. I didn't think you noticed.
and he also has like that gold like pendant thing.
yeah, oh yeah.
That's this weird. It's like from it's like straight from Yig.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah,
Yes.
it's somewhere from beyond the stars. The one time he puts like a hook or a crane or some shit down there, John Hurd,
He's
and
playing a fucking crane game. Was he looking for fucking stuffed animals down there?
he pulls out Penelope Ann Miller.
Oh well, there you go.
Penelope Cruz.
he gets the ultimate prize. Yeah.
So she pops out. So she's like this interdimensional being who is also a scientist or an inventor.
Well,
But the whole thing with her is like her people can make things with their mind just by thinking it.
Well, that's the
Yeah.
whole thing. They're all super advanced, so it's like we don't ever find out if what she actually does, but you're right, just because they're all so smart, at least that's how it's kind of explained.
Well, she says she's an inventor, just like him.
Okay.
Because so she comes out and Jimbo fucks off for a little while, or he gives the ring to Jimbo and hangs out with her name's Keena, by the way.
Right.
And hangs out with her and like teaches her how to like speak English and stuff. And she picks it up real quick.
She's like Job without the machine.
Oh, she's like Johnny Five.
Yeah,
dude.
like
She's,
real quick. She like spelling her name out and stuff, and they're like, it's like teaching a child at first.
yes.
But she's picking it up like very quickly.
Yeah.
Like he even says, I have physics books that she's just burning through that took me like years to get through.
and like understanding it. He's
Yeah.
like teaching her the alphabet and he's like, B, ball. And she like makes a ball just like appear.
Yeah.
And she's like throwing it around. And at one point she throws it up and it just disappears.
That's what I'm saying. Why would John Hurt ever leave this woman? It's like you would learn so much from someone from another dimension that's that willing. And there's also like that weird love angle shoot horned into all this on top of it all.
I don't think he. Well, oh yeah. Well,
I'm
you
talking
mean,
about our
Home Alone?
bullshit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe she left him. You don't know.
That's true. She is a special lady.
Makes sense.
But we should talk about Penelope Ann Miller also being in
The Relic.
Yeah, The Relic.
Oh.
Well, see that I was getting there. I wanted her to pop up first.
we got to cover that movie, man.
I
It keeps
know.
coming up, man.
So they break up, right?
Yeah.
I
Penelope
guess.
Ann Miller goes back to her dimension. John Hurt comes back here, and she's like, you know what? I just really love that Earth dimension men. I just really love them. So she comes back over to the other side. Turns out nobody's as great as John Hurt, and he's
Also,
already
she needs a job.
he's already taken, and she does need a job, but she's also a scientist.
Yeah.
So now she's a biologist who cracks the code of John Whitney and figures out that he's the Cathoga.
It's all connected.
And then that was before John Whitney was convicted for killing his son from Pinocchio's Revenge.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's all
all sorts of
It's
shit,
all
right?
connected.
Come on, Pinocchio! Pinocchio! Get back here, Pinocchio!
The MDU, it'll get you every time.
Yeah.
So yeah, like Chris said it best too. Like she's treated like it's almost like this childlike wonder she has for everything, and he's like introducing her to stuff. She can finally speak, and they write their names and stuff together.
Billy.
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 Gizmo.
Gizmo in there, yeah.
Oh my god.
And so it culminates in kind of like he like buys her a dress and like you can't go outside naked or whatever and all this kind of stuff. She like brings back veal what is it?
Veal marsala.
Villa masala. What is he like makes her say? Villa Marengo.
Yeah.
A little calf for
And she's
you.
like Villa Marengo and he's like no. Villa Marengo. Villa Marengo.
It's
So she eats it cold. She has this thing. She doesn't like hot stuff.
Yeah.
But,
Which is kind of funny because I also like. It made me think of that Monsters episode, Pillow Talk,
Oh, okay.
with Mary
Yeah, yeah.
Warnoff. Doesn't like anything.
And you know what's funny?
Cold.
So speaking of Mary Warnoff,
Yeah.
so in the fun IMDb deep dives and
Yeah.
like all these episodes, the director here, him and Mary Warnoff were married at one point.
Are you kidding
Nope.
me? That's weird,
So
man.
there's a little connection.
Did he direct Pillow Talk? I don't know. We'll get
Maybe.
there. That's Monsters. Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about all this stuff happening, and I'm sitting there watching this episode, and I'm like checking my fucking watch because I'm just like, is this Tales from the Dark Side? Like, what are we doing? Like, not that you can't do a romance angle on the show. Like, they've attacked these concepts at so many different angles. I expected it eventually,
Yeah.
but I just feel like, man, this is what you get John Hurd to do. Like, not, and again, like I don't personally like romance angles, so maybe it's just me complaining for the sake of complaining, but it just feels very forced and it kind of out of left field.
I don't know why you feel that way about every single romance. Like, it's a stranger in a strange land, and she kind of like just gets attached.
I guess
to him.
I just don't need it. I mean, you're 100% right. Like, it doesn't feel unnatural like a lot of things because there is an implied passage of time.
of like a year or so.
Or yeah, we
Or
don't
weeks
ever
or
really
whatever,
know.
months.
I'm just.
And I think they
It doesn't
both
go
connect.
anywhere, I guess is my problem. It feels like it doesn't go anywhere.
And I think they both like connect on like that inventor level because they're both like sort of into the same things of like creating from ideas.
Mhm.
And they both sort of connect. I think that's their main connection.
Yeah, they hit it off. I mean, I
Mhm.
think they find each other attractive too, but like that's a
Yeah.
really good point that they that he's into science and stuff, and they actually have like real conversations about life and existing and
Sure.
creating and all that kind of stuff.
I mean,
so.
it all does culminate in a way where it's like, okay, even though Sean, you just said all that, there's a reason for that. I understand that as someone watching the show. I'm just kind of like, again, looking at my watch. Can we get to the fucking point?
Well, we're getting there because
Yeah.
Jimbo steals the ring because he knows that there's
One
gems
ring
on the
to
other
rule it
side.
all,
Yeah.
one ring to bind them, obviously.
one ring
Yeah,
to.
he picks up the ring. He's all like pissed off.
Yeah.
Picks up the ring, and you half expect, like, because of what's been going on, like the hooks and the thermometers like melting and
yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
You think he's just gonna like phase through
That's
the
what
ring
I
and
was waiting for,
get
man.
cut in half or,
Yeah, or
something weird.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about
Something
that.
happens, yeah. We're getting
So
there.
he steals the ring, and he like has like a crane with like a backhoe that he's gonna just plunge into this thing, which he does. And he's pulling out like rubies and shit. But then one time he pulls up a fucking arm, like a severed arm of like somebody.
Can you imagine like a hole just appearing out of nowhere with a tractor bucket?
I mean, but think
just
of-
grabbing you.
Right, well, yeah. Out of nowhere, out of
Yeah.
a fucking portal.
Oh
So
man.
some random guy got surprised and
Lost
there
his
goes your
arm.
arm.
Well, see ya.
Yeah.
It turns out to be Keena's dimension too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where he pulls that out of. So he just like bursts into John Hurd's house and like gives him the ring back. He's like, I don't want it. She's like, take it.
Yeah.
I don't want this shit. It's like, it's not worth it.
And then that's also her link to like get back home.
Yeah. Well, yes and no. That's how they find her.
Mhm.
From like the activity happening with that ring.
Right,
Because
yeah.
now it's actually like killed or maimed somebody
Yeah.
in their dimension. So they have some kind of altercation and Jimbo like runs outside and he's like, you can't do that or whatever. And John Hurd chases him out there. We don't see this happen, but John Hurd describes it. And he's like, and then Jimbo ran outside and he's talking to the lady and he's like, and then there was like this big cloud that appeared and I see him screaming, but he's yelling and no words are coming out of his mouth. Then this big cloud comes down and then there's this crushing sound and then Jimbo's gone.
They
And-
found bits of skull and
and
brain on my
all
floor.
over the place. He got obliterated.
And then Sean said, okay, yeah, that's one way to go about that. And this is a TV show, but really?
Well, I mean, I thought that was kind of fine though, and like the implied violence and like what happened is kind of neat to me.
Yeah.
But he goes back inside and Keena's gone,
Mhm.
and then he gets picked up by the cops and blamed for Jimbo's death, and that's
Right.
why he's on death row.
Exactly. And they walk him to the chair. They got the fucking mask on him and everything.
Oh, he's walking the Green Mile, baby.
and they strap him in. They
Mr.
got
Jingles is there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
little
everyone's there.
man.
They got witnesses. Yeah, they're all there. The Pinocchio's revenge mom's in there
Oh,
somewhere.
she's in there too. Yeah,
everyone that's related to some kind of scene like this. of
yeah. John
course.
Whitney's getting fried one chamber
Oh
over.
yeah.
Shockers in 3 doors down.
Exactly. But they flip the switch, and then time freezes, I guess, or something.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. Keena, so not only is she able to manifest things with her mind, but she's able to like manipulate time
Yeah.
and space.
For like a short period. For what is it, like a minute? I think?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
they only
think she
have like
says that,
30
yeah.
seconds or something,
Mhm.
but she's literally stopped the entire world's time.
Yeah.
for
Kinda
those.
cool.
I think it's pretty cool. She like pops up on his lap and she's like, "Hey, John Hurt, how you doing? Yeah, the elders wouldn't let me. Like, I told them about you, and they like, I didn't want to let you die, so I came back to pick you up. Do you want to live with us?
Yeah. They said you can come live with us.
Yeah, and I'll like teach you how to make stuff with just using your mind and stuff. It's gonna like totally
Yeah.
blow like your Earth person mind.
He's like, oh, let me think about it.
Yeah, for like a second. Yeah. Die or go live a life of extravagance at
Yeah,
a
in
different
this
dimension.
Peaceful universe
Yeah.
where
Where-
like crime is non-existent.
Yeah, no one gets hurt.
Yeah.
I think there's also like a you know,
it's
you're
a utopia.
well, yeah, it's a utopia, but like you were talking about that love angle, but like it's still kind of platonic because she doesn't kiss him; she just hugs him.
Yeah.
No,
And kind of brings in like it's just somebody appreciating somebody else. So it's not necessarily like, I mean, it is a love story, but it's, I don't know. They
No,
don't go all the way
yeah,
with it. John Hurt does not kiss Penelope
It's
Ann
not
Miller
ham-fisted.
Yeah.
Like he buys her a dress and food and stuff.
Yeah,
but I
'cause
think
it's
more
kinda-
of like an affectionate way.
and like a gesture or
Yeah.
whatever. So they fucking disappear to the alternate dimension. And the lights come back on and the thing's going and everybody's like, oh my God, he
Yeah.
disappeared. Where'd he go?
Everybody's scrambling, and then the reporter that he's been talking to,
Yeah.
she like understands. Like all of a sudden,
Oh,
she
yeah.
like gets what happened.
Well, because she knows
Yeah,
the deal.
it was real.
Yeah.
It was
The
a love
alternate
story.
universe. She goes, stop the precious, whatever his face is that she calls, and she's like, I got a better idea. It's a love story.
Yeah.
The fucking saxophone.
Meanwhile, there's
picks
like
up.
10 cops in the room looking under the chair.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's where he went.
Wait,
He's hiding.
does he
He's crouched under there.
They're breaking out that fucking carpet and star the Batman had.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
let's get the carpets out. Maybe he's under there.
Yeah, under the floor.
Honey, I
Trimmer or
Shrunk
whatever.
John Hurt.
Yeah.
Running around the floor.
I kind of love that he's in a bowl of Cheerios.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Getting chased by ants.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. He's in Penelope Ann Miller's cleavage. Yeah, probably. So what do we think of this one?
Well, I guess I kind of already made that clear. I don't
Cat's-
like this
cat's
one.
out of the
Yeah,
bag.
I think this one sucks.
The Keena's out of the ring, dude.
I don't know. Maybe again, I don't want to just repeat myself here or sound like some kind of asshole, but I just romance angles. I don't like romance movies. I don't know.
Can you elaborate on that?
Just don't like it.
I'm
It's
just
fucking
curious.
boring to me.
Yeah.
I'm just not into it.
Okay.
It can be done well. You guys can argue that it is done well here. That's fine. It just doesn't work for me. Again, maybe it's expectations, me going into this excited for John Hurt and I wanted something else. So I recognize some of that as just me expectations being in a position where maybe they shouldn't be.
Okay.
But I'm just kind of like, for Tales, I mean, they could try whatever. They've tried whatever so far. Again, like I said, eventually, I'm sure you're going to get to one that kind of covers this material. People love romance movies. I know I'm crazy for saying that. It's just it's not for me at all. And just the whole wraparound with him being in prison, like, it's interesting, but it doesn't really work for me. It's just kind of like, all right, well, he gets teleported away. It's kind of touching, but it's a skipper for me. And I like John Hurt. but-
Look, I can understand that, especially for a Tales from the Darkside episode.
Yeah.
100%.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's all right. Yeah, it's not like it's not awesome. It's not perfect, whatever. But it's like, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
It's like I wouldn't skip it again. Like the romance, it's like, that's fine. It's a little heavy on the, like drama bits, but
Yeah.
I think it's fine as a story.
Yeah.
It's like going into like having an alternate dimension as a like plot device.
Mhm.
I think that's the most interesting part of the episode. And I think it's fine. It's like, yeah, there's some like a girl pops up and you're like spending all this time like communicating with her and getting to know her and falling for her and everything. It's fine.
I think it's fine too. Yeah, it's like Weird Science meets Short Circuit, like on the set of like Splash or something, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's fun to see Penelope Ann Miller because this is like one of her first roles.
Oh, the very first one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's her very first role, and I think she's fine and fun. And it's fun to see John Hurt too. And again, like I could see where you're coming from too. Like I would rather see him do something else or do anything.
And again, I do recognize that maybe I'm talking a little out of my ass here, but it's hard for me to put my finger on it, I guess.
No, sure. And like I can see that. Again, here we are. It's the third episode into the second season, and it's still very science fiction heavy. It's not really horror based, which I can see turning people off or not being what you'd expect every week. Like if we came right off the previous episode into this, like I think I even said on that episode, I was like, well, let's see what happens next week. And then I got this, I'd be like, oh,
Yeah, what is
you're
happening to
losing
this
me.
show?
You
Yeah.
get one more chance.
Yep.
Speaking of, like, if you watch the last episode of Talks, I said, like, oh, maybe you skip this one because you're getting to the next one, because I forgot the next one that I was thinking of is actually the one after this one.
Okay.
Yes.
Is the one I would skip to, episode 4.
No, there you go.
If that makes more sense. If you watch these both episodes, you're like, well, Sean, you said that skip to this one, and now you said you didn't like. For anyone watching this in order, just clarifying.
Yeah.
That's all.
I think that the romance or whatever you want to call, I kind of look at it more as like a friendship kind of thing. They're more smitten than they are in love, if that makes sense. And I really like the idea of like having that alternate dimension and her coming through it, and then like teaching him new things and like expanding his mind and how to use it.
Yeah.
And the power of intention and the way that you can like manifest things if you just do these certain things. And I don't know. I think that's cool. Like here you have this civilization that obviously looks primitive, but is like way more advanced than we are.
Yep.
So I kind of like that angle. And there's always some like scumbag like trying to make a buck off it instead of appreciating it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's that.
The noir angle's weird, but I mean, as a Tales from the Darkside episode, I don't know if it works incredibly well, but I think it's fine, and I enjoy it for what it is.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's about it.
Yeah. It's like there's an innocence to this episode that we don't usually have in these.
Yeah, and there's a happy ending
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Which is weird too. It's like, yeah, being a Tales episode, it's like, where did this one come from?
Yeah.
It's like, was this them like testing the waters for like a more drama and like romance series or something.
And then they checked the ratings that night and we're like, oh, fuck.
That's what I'm saying. Like, because they had to be filming all these like way ahead of time to get them out on time.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. Like, what was the logic? Again, I don't want to sound like a broken record on every episode so far this season, but like, why were these the first 3 episodes? I mean, granted, again, maybe like I said, I think either on the last one or the first episode of the season. Could be someone watching this his favorite episode. I don't know. You know, each one of these, we've talked about this before, is a different flavor. So there's always something for everybody. But like a weird first 3 episodes for season 2.
Yeah.
And it could be a thing where it's like, you know, this is competing right now with the Twilight Zone 80s television show. So like maybe they're trying to broaden the audience from horror and get them in for like a little bit of drama and a little bit of sci-fi and a love story instead of like a horror thing.
Yeah.
But at its core, Tales from the Dark Side is a horror show. So, like, I can see where they were trying to, like, maybe appeal to more, but they were like, all right, let's pull back on that.
It's like, all right, we'll give you a severed arm, but we're gonna have a romance angle.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, you're right. They do give you the severed arm. You hear about it at least.
Yeah. Before you get out of here, though, let us know what you think of this episode. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, because we know that you've been following along, some of you. But yeah, if you're watching this on YouTube, do us a favor, hit that like button right now and subscribe if you haven't. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast app, please leave us that 5-star review if you dig the show. But until next time, I'm Joe Lascola.
I'm Sean O'Rourke.
And I'm Chris Barr.
Tales from the Dark Side is always there, waiting for us to watch it, waiting for us to hit play. Until next time, try to find it on DVD and watch along with us.